Although you're not very well known in the history of Middle-earth, you'll be the hero of the epic battle of the five armies. You're a skin changer who loves the forest and lives there. Your name is Beorn. You've been alive for a very, very long time. So long that even Gandalf can't make out more than a guess about you. Just like Tom Bombadil, you're a mystery. You're much taller than ordinary people. You have very strong arms and a quite muscular build. You're not a giant, but in human form you're about the size of an average troll. When you shapeshift, you become a massive black bear. You're the only mortal who can shapeshift. Yes, you're mortal, but a mortal who can live for a very long time. You live in the forest between the Misty Mountains and Mirkwood. You live in a wooden house near the rocky region you've named Karok. You love animals very much. You love the forest very much. You have a unique magical ability. You act according to your own feelings and thoughts. You don't like Sauron. It's not because of rumors that Sauron wiped out his people and tormented you for centuries. These rumors aren't true, because you live alone and have never had a people of your own. The reason you don't like Sauron and the orcs is the harm they cause to the forest and the animals. That's why you protect the forest you live in from them. They never set foot here. Sometimes you can be rude, and you get angry very quickly. Since you live alone, this isn't a problem. Thanks to the magic you cast, the forest is a little different. For example, the trees can talk to you. The ponies can understand you. Dogs and sheep can walk on two legs and set the dinner table. The animals are extremely intelligent. You connect more with animals than with elves and dwarves. This makes you much happier. You don't eat meat. You eat honey and cream. You're sort of a vegetarian. You patrol the forest daily. You usually wander around at night. Sometimes a forest patrol lasts 1 or 2 days. The wizard Gandalf and a hobbit arrive. They introduce themselves. Gandalf says he's a friend of Radagast. Radagast is a good wizard, by wizard standards. He's also a wizard who's very loving toward the forest and the animals. Gandalf says he's seen you before. He'd heard you growling in the language of bears while gazing at the Misty Mountains from atop a rock one night. The day will come when they'll have to answer for this, and I'll return. They'll pay the price with their lives. You remember the night you said that, 15 years ago, late at night, gazing at the Misty Mountains. Gandalf says they're in trouble with the orcs. Curious, you want to hear the story. As the wizard tells it, dwarves begin arriving in pairs. Watching them in amazement, you want to learn more about the orcs. When the story ends, there are 13 dwarves, a hobbit, and Gandalf standing before you. After hearing the story, you invite them to dinner. The little hobbit is shocked to see the sheep and dogs preparing dinner. While they eat, you go outside to investigate whether the story is true. You're satisfied to see that everything they said is true. In the morning, they thank you for your hospitality. You give them ponies to take them toward the edge of Mirkwood. When they get there, you tell them to set the ponies free. You warn them not to drink from the enchanted stream. You give them enough provisions. You don't go with them, because there's work to be done in the forest. The sheep are complaining about ants and mice, so you need to solve the problem. Of course, you're joking. If Dwarf King Thorin succeeds in his expedition to Erebor, his homeland, major problems will follow. Bolg, Sauron's commander over the orcs, is extremely dangerous, and he's bound to cause trouble for them. You don't like him. That's why you need to investigate what's going on in greater detail. You check every nook and cranny in the Misty Mountains. There's a large orc population in these parts, but when you check, you can't find them. It means the orcs and wargs are gathering, being organized into a powerful army. Your anger toward them grows even more, because Sauron's army never respects nature and destroys everything in its path. You continue your search without pause. Days turn into weeks, and weeks into months. Finally, you hear rumors that the dwarves have reclaimed Erebor. The dragon Smaug emerges from the mountain and attacks the river folk. The bowman Bard brings him down with a black arrow. Smaug gets what he deserves. News of the dragon's death spreads throughout the lands. Everyone flocks to the mountain for the treasure. Elves, humans, and of course the orcs and wargs under Bolg's command. The Dwarf King summons the dwarves of the Iron Hills to the mountain. Just as these events unfold, Bolg and his army arrive at the mountain alone. Before long, the battle that will come to be known as the Battle of the Five Armies begins. The elves, dwarves, and men stand against Sauron's army. The greatest orc army history has ever seen launches its attack. All the orcs from Gundabad and the Misty Mountains have united. Before long, the eagles join the battle as well. But even that isn't enough. Every orc that falls is replaced by another. Just as the dwarves, elves, and humans are on the verge of exhaustion, the Dwarf King emerges from the mountain and joins the battle. Seeing their king on the battlefield, the dwarves begin to fight more bravely, so much so that even the elves and humans are emboldened. But even this is not enough. Meanwhile, you finally reach the mountain, alone. You had gone very far to investigate the orcs, which is why you were delayed. Without wasting any time, you join the battle in your massive bear form. You disrupt the battle formation of the orcs and wargs. No weapon or spear can penetrate deeply enough to wound you. You charge straight through the lines, cutting your way to the very center of the battlefield. The Dwarf King Thorin lies wounded on the ground. You immediately pick him up and carry him away from the battle. You leave him in a safe place. You can see that Thorin is very seriously wounded, but without wasting any time, you return to the fight. When you return, your rage has tripled. You subdue Bolg, Sauron's commander who gathered this army, and trample him underfoot. Before long, your immense power and rage are enough to end the battle. The surviving orcs and wargs begin to flee for their lives. The fleeing orcs are hunted down by the dwarves and elves. Finally, the battle ends, and you calm down. You turned the tide of the battle, but many honorable souls were lost in this war. In the comments, please list who you think lost their lives in this battle. Middle-earth is freed from the scourge of Bolg, Sauron's commander. The orcs never again reach such vast numbers. You have no idea that Bilbo Baggins was carrying the One Ring during this battle. If the war had been lost, Sauron would have seized the One Ring, and Middle-earth would have fallen under his rule. You don't realize just how much of an impact you had on the war. After the war, you return home. Gandalf and Bilbo join you on your journey home and spend the winter at your house. After the war, you have a son named Grimborn. The people descended from you are called the Bornings. Like you, the Bornings do not eat meat. They subsist on honey and cream. Your lineage begins to multiply here for the first time. You continue to keep the Anduin Valley safe. A portion of your lineage is not very friendly toward dwarves and elves. As long as your children are here, orcs and wargs cannot enter this forest. Over time, due to the dwarves' greed, your children begin collecting tribute from those traveling between the city of Dale and the Vale. They keep these areas safe as well. Many years later, your lineage flourishes and grows even further here. Shortly before the War of the Ring, you peacefully reach the end of your life. The Beornings continue in your footsteps. Although they do not care much for dwarves and elves, they always stand by their side against Sauron. After Sauron regains power in Mordor, the Beornings turn their backs on the outside world and withdraw into themselves. When Sauron sends messages to every kingdom, he also sends a message to the Beornings. He wants them to ally with him. But your lineage does not betray you, and they refuse to cooperate. During the War of the Ring, when Sauron attacks the Wood Elves led by King Thranduil, the Beornings do their part without hesitation. They come to the aid of the Wood Elves. They fight shoulder to shoulder with the elves. They suffer losses, but in the end, they succeed in defeating Sauron. The One Ring is destroyed, and Sauron meets his end. After the war, the forest is renamed the Wood of Green Leaves. The southern part of the forest is given to Celeborn, the northern part to Thranduil, and the central part to the Beornings. Their numbers grow here as well. This is the last known information about you. You have been alive since the First Age. At least, that's what many people believe. You have fought in many battles. You were always good. Sometimes you turned into a grumpy old man, but you had a great laugh. A little hobbit once mistook you for a stone giant. You hosted the Dwarf King. You fought in the Battle of the Five Armies and brought the war to an end. Throughout your life, you fought against Sauron. You had children, and they followed in your footsteps. Now you can rest in peace. I think this story deserves a like. Don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts on Beorn and the Beornings. See you in the next video.